You know,
gentleman
there are
with
three
glasses.
signs of getting older, Beowulf.
I
The
know.
first thing is you forget things. And the second one is,
Yes, I know. I can remember it.
but no,
He filled in for Ron Owens on a couple of occasions on KGO.
Bill
Bill
Press.
Press. Thank you very much. That was it.
I didn't want to, embarrass you in any way.
Oh, please feel free. Please, no, absolutely, no. I need
But
to.
may I say,
get
I
to the
believe in
basics.
diversity of opinion.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm looking forward to the Trump-Biden debates, if they in fact take place, because people have to be held accountable. Look, if you have been reading Donald Trump's Truth Social, it's disgraceful what he's doing there.
Quite so.
And the attack on the judge, the attack on the judge's daughter, the man has, I think, lost, at least with me, any credibility. He lost that a long time ago, but this really does it. It's the icing on the cake. So where are the Republicans standing up and telling us what they think about him? I mean, really.
Well, it's interesting because it seems like a few people on Capitol Hill in the GOP are actually standing up and saying that you got to, lower the volume a little bit, Donald, when it comes to making attacks on the judges.
And he's not.
And no, of course he's not going to. I don't know why they even bothered to begin with, because asking Donald Trump to quiet down a little bit, please, has obviously not worked at any point
but don't you understand,
over the last
it's
several
whether
years.
he quieted down or not.
Yeah.
It's his record.
Yeah.
It's the disgraceful use of and abuse of power.
I don't understand why they think that would work, like as if we're just going to forget about everything that Donald Trump has done over the course of his political
let me
career.
ask you a question. On April 15th, you pay your income tax?
Yes. Well, I think officially we've done it already, but yes, by that time, certainly.
On April 15th, income tax will fade as Donald Trump goes on trial.
Yes.
And I hope this is the first of many trials, and the most important single thing will be if he's found guilty. Will the guilty verdict, which I think is clear and self-evident, be dismissed by those who support him as if it doesn't matter? Yeah. This, to me, also is another critical question. Where is the conscience of the American people when it comes to, and particularly Trump voters? I listen to the smears against Joe Biden, the attempts to prove that he is not really compos mentis anymore. Well, last time I looked, Joe Biden didn't confuse Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi. I mean, there is a hypocrisy here. So let me tell you what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for the Republicans. I want to see how the Republicans respond to Trump being on trial, what I think are near certain convictions coming up. How will they then respond? And of course, the big thing, Beowulf, and I think I've told you this before, is I'm waiting for the defeat of Donald Trump, the massive defeat of Donald Trump, so that the Republican Party can rebuild, looking back to its roots. And I think that will be a critical moment, believe me.
I hope so. I guess what I see is the core of Donald Trump's support is never really going to believe that he can do any wrong, at least for not for the foreseeable future. But the core of Donald Trump's support is not the entirety of the GOP or of the electorate that votes for Donald Trump. So I think that with these like convictions, which I think you are correct, we will inevitably see, you will see a slow winnowing away, saying I've had enough. This is too much for me. It's not going to happen all at once, but it will happen, over the course of like the next few months, and that, it is my hope, will draw enough strength away from him to prevent him from becoming president. That's the scenario I see.
Can we turn to foreign policy for a moment? And let me say a word about Ukraine.
Sure.
If Ukraine is lost, and I use that term historically,
right.
It will be the fault of the Republicans, because the Republicans need to put up the money that we have guaranteed the Ukrainians in terms of arms, munitions, public support. And I don't hear the Republicans doing that. It's a far cry from the days of when the Republicans insisted on celebrating Captive Nations Week, and
True.
when the Republicans were in the forefront of attacking Russian imperialism. This has to happen. And if I may, about the Middle East, I simply want to say I watched a clip of the city council meeting in Berkeley last week, where it wasn't about the Middle East. It was hatred of Jews. It was one of the most stunning impossible moments I've seen in a public forum. And Berkeley, the home of free speech, and their attack on Jews was to me absolutely appalling. So I want to emphasize that as well, because there are a lot of undercurrents in this campaign. When George Washington said, give to bigotry no uh, no ability to function in this country, no sanction, but I was trying to put it in a different word. He was right. And the bigotry that we see reflected today, whether it is against transgender, whether it's against Jews, frankly, whether it is against Asians. And here in the San Francisco Bay Area, we have a huge Asian American community who are constantly under attack. And there needs to be an understanding that the level of bigotry that has been made apparent, I think, by the Trump candidacy needs to be addressed in our society.
It is. It's something that we need to have a national conversation about. I look to what South Africa went through in the post-apartheid period, and the Truth and Reconciliation commissions and hearings that they had. I almost tend to think that we need something of that nature to recover from the Trump era. Once, knocking on wood, there he is defeated come November. Because I
but
really
people need to understand, if Jews in this country feel insecure, and they do, with real passion. First time I've heard this kind of response in my own community, in the Jewish community. It's fear. And the American people cannot allow that kind of fear to grow against any group. And I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah. We need to put an end to hate in this country. And I truly think that Donald Trump has been the biggest force in, bringing that, to the surface. I think it existed, and probably to one extent or another will always exist beneath the surface in this country.
Does that raise Tim Scott's possibility of becoming the Republican nominee for vice president?
One would hope. One would hope so, but I don't know. I truly think that the well of hate is too deep for something like that. And even if Trump did it, obviously it would be something that was very cynical and very superficial and didn't speak to the core of his beliefs to the extent that any such thing exists. I'm not convinced that there is, and I know that you have serious questions in that regard as well. John, it is always a pleasure to speak with you, whether it is the start of the first full month of spring or any day of the week, but Mondays here are especially reserved for you, and I have enjoyed this one truly. Thank you so much for being with us here on Facepalm America, sir.
My pleasure. Have a wonderful April Fool's Day, and I'm not fooling when I say that I treasure my friendship with Beowulf Rothmann.
Thank you so much for being with us on Facepalm America today. I really appreciate that you listen. Our show is put together by Two Squared Media Productions. You can find out more about them at twosquaredmediaproductions.com. I want to thank Ace Elson and Rosabelle Hine, who produced this show. And please share a link to this program on your social media. It really helps us. And until next time, enjoy the day.